a little bit about putting it together once you have the assignment. The first thing that you want to do is you want to know what style book they use. Most magazines are going to use the AP style book, the Associated Press, and you can kind of sound like you know what you're saying if you say, well, you do use the AP style book, like you've been doing this forever. But this is one that I just happen to have on my desk. This is one of the magazines that I write for a lot, Living Magazine, which is out of Texas. It's a regional lifestyle magazine. They have like 160 different markets. And this was their style book, and you can see it's been on my desk a while. It's got coffee spilled on it. It's got a little chocolate over here. But the things that are in the style book are not necessarily things that are right or wrong. It's just all about uniformity within that magazine. For instance, in Living Magazine, they don't use a comma before a contraction. That's not right or wrong. It's just that they want all their writers doing the same thing. When we say that we quote someone.
You mean before quotation?
Before the word and.
No,
a contraction.
But
and.
That's not a contraction, it's a
Oh,
conjunction.
conjunction.
Well, I knew what you
Before
meant.
the word and. She did. Because I was gesticulating. Black, green, yellow, blue, and red.
Right.
And it's not right or wrong, but it's just that's what they do.
It's a newspaper thing.
Only
Yeah,
really,
it's a newspaper.
really
They use
in
it too.
tune people know what you mean when you say something.
When you say the wrong word, my husband is
We were English teachers, we had fussy about this.
Right.
And I was too.
My husband always says I use the wrong word. I'm like, that's because you're walking out of the room while I'm talking. I have to hurry and get it out. When I say kitchen, I mean living room. But anyway, just to make sure that you're not putting a lot of work on their copy editors, and maybe that'll endear you to them, and they'll want to work with you more. So that's one thing you want to kind of know. When you get the assignment, there's certain things, information that you need from them, and they probably will provide you with that information. But if they don't, in the assignment, you want to know right out of the bat, what's my word count? Because you don't want to spend your time writing an eloquent 1,000-word article and then write back and go, we only have space for 700 words. So no right up front, what's my word count, and is that etched in stone? Is there a little wiggle room there? There usually is. What's my deadline? That's a big one. I always tell my editors, do not ever use the words to me, whenever you get, you'll never get it. You got to make up a deadline and tell me that that's the one, and there's no debating it. You want to know the voice of the magazine, and that kind of comes back to studying the magazine and kind of hearing, do they use a casual voice? In Living Magazine, if we quoted Christy, then we refer to her later. We wouldn't call her Indest. We'd call her Christy because it's a women's magazine. It's got a casual voice to it, so you want to kind of know that. How do they want it laid out? Unless you're writing for the New Yorker, and this is a very sad thing to me, but you're probably not going to be writing straight texts anymore. Everybody's in a hurry these days, and if you look at magazines, you got call-out boxes, you got bullet points, you got factoids, everything's got to be broken up into little bite-sized pieces for us. And I know I'm the same way. If I turn and I tried to read my daughter's New Yorker the other day, and I read about a paragraph, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about something else already. But you can give them the same information you would give them in 1,000 words of text, but you got to chew it up and form like a mama bird, or they're not going to read it. So you want to kind of know that. And different sections of the magazine are going to be written different ways. One of the sections that I wrote a lot for parents was what they call it's called As They Grow. And it's in there every month, and they'll start off with an article on pregnancy, newborn, toddler, preschool, and it goes through like that. Well, there's a very uniform way that they write it. It's 1,800 words, but that has to be 900 words of text, and you have to have one factoid, and you have to have 2 call-out boxes, and so you want to understand ahead of time exactly what do they think you're going to be sending them, and make sure that that's what you send them. Most magazines, and hopefully you'll find that information in here, but not always, most magazines have certain sections that are freelance written and certain sections that are always written by their in-house writers. Southern Living is one. For years and years and years, they have that Southern Journal on the back page, that wonderful essay on the back page. Yes. Well, for years and years, that was the spot. If you were a freelancer, you could get. Now you're competing with Kay Gibbons and Alice Walker, but you could get in there. Well, now they have an in-house guy who's going to be writing all their essays.
Rick Braggs.
Right. but you can get into their travel section. So you need to kind of know that ahead of time, so you're not hitting your head against a brick wall, sending stuff that they're not even looking at. So kind of know that ahead of time. This is a lesson that I learned again and again, and I forget it, and I learn it, and I forget it, and I learn it. The whole time that you're writing, you want to keep revisiting your assignment from the editor. Because you'll get real excited about something and you'll get it all written out, and then you'll look back and go, oh no, she wanted me to do this, 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 and I did, you know. Now, a lot of times your article's going to kind of tell you where it wants to go, or when you call your experts, they're just not, it's not going to be what you thought it was going to be. And just did something recently. Oh, I can't remember what it was. But it was a certain point we were trying to make, and then as I started interviewing the experts, I realized that this point was irrelevant, and this is really, if that happens, you need to go back to the editor and say, look, this is where I see this going, and get her permission to go that way. Because you're going to work really hard and then send her something, and she's going to say, that's not what I asked you for. So keep revisiting your assignment as you're going along, and then if you feel like there's a better way to go, they're usually open to that. But you need to get their okay on that. One thing that I tell anybody who's doing any kind of writing is there are 3 books that have meant the world to me. This is the Bible of writing to me. If you don't have this, oh my gosh. Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. Lessons on Writing and Life. Some instructions on writing and life. It is blithe, it's delightful, it's life-giving, and it's full of great advice. Here's a quote, and you can see I've read it a lot, I've scribbled all over it. Anyone who survived childhood has enough material to write about for his or her life. If you survived childhood, don't tell me you don't have any material. And she just, oh, it's just amazing. And you can see as you go through here, I've underlined, I've highlighted, I've donkey-eared. This one I highly recommend. Another one, and I think I might have actually gotten this at one of these meetings, is Stephen King's book on writing. It's part memoir, part instructional writing booklet. Again, delightful. I think a lot of people dismiss Stephen King as a hack writer, as a formulaic writer or something, but I don't read his stuff anymore just because I'm not into the scary thing, but the guy knows what he's talking about. And there's some really nonsensical advice, very basic advice in here. One thing that he said that really stuck with me was, never use any verb other than said with dialogue. If your dialogue is written right, you don't need to say he exclaimed, he interjected, he stammered, or whatever, said, and then let your dialogue or the action tell him how he said it. This is an excellent book. And the other one, I didn't have it at home. Again, I probably gave it away. I'm bad to do that, and I never get them back. But On Writing Well is another book. It's an old book. It's by William Zinsser, Zinsser. And again, it's very basic. It's written in a very light, enjoyable way. It's not a hard read at all. But he tells you how to say what you want to say in as few words as possible. And to me, that's always the best way to write.